This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawks.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is the baddest man alive, the dead ringer, unsigned and don't care, Cincinnati's most wanted, Aaron Williams, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James Jane, and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the Starter Scene, Cincinnati Shogun, the Angelic Assassin, the baddest man alive, the dead ringer, unsigned and do not care, Aaron Williams.
Thank you for having me and for that wonderful introduction as well. I mean, you brought some old nicknames back. I got like a ton of them.
Yeah.
One of them is also Planet Williams, which is my Twitter handle and my Instagram handle as well. So, got a lot of them.
I apologize for missing Planet Williams, but I think I got everyone
it's
else
okay.
in.
Oh, you got a lot of them in there. There's a lot of them. You got a good amount. So,
How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm hanging out here in Ohio. It's getting cold and starting to snow and all that wonderful stuff, but it just comes with the territory, so we deal with it.
I get that, but when are you gonna be heating up the ring next?
Actually, I usually stay pretty busy. I don't take weekends off. I'm usually wrestling every Friday or Saturday, and most of the time on Sunday too. It just varies wherever I'm at. Let's see if we're talking in December. I'd have to look at my calendar to see where I'm at next. But unfortunately, but I get around. I get around pretty good. Haven't quite made it out to California yet, but hopefully that will be happening in the near future.
It feels like nobody gets out to California at this point, which is really disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, the world's changed a lot in the past couple of years, so I guess everything's a little more difficult now, and everything's a little more safe now, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just, unfortunately, it makes some things kind of difficult.
Oh, without a doubt. And of course, where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
Let's see. On Twitter, I'm Planet Williams 1, the number 1. And that's usually where you can see a lot of my dates popping up and stuff like that. I'm much better at Instagram, which is just Planet Williams. And I try to share as much as I can there as well. I have a Pro Wrestling Tees store. I also have a Fully Gimmicked store. And you can find that at fullygimmick.com. And I also have some merchandise available at WrestleNerds.com or ShopWrestleNerds.com as well, which has got some pretty cool stuff from me and my one of my tag team partners, Gary J. So that's pretty much most of the plugging I think I have.
All right, and no need to look for those websites. All of the links will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox.
Fantastic.
All right, talking about keeping busy, you're a very busy man. You're currently the World Champion, Unsanctioned Pro Champion, and Unsanctioned Pro Tag Team Champion. with what crew? You're Aaron Three Belts at this point, right?
I am. I'm doing pretty well for myself out here in Ohio. Some would say I'm the king of Ohio, which I would not really deny that. War Wrestling is out of Lima, Ohio. They always draw really fantastic crowds. They've been around for 20 plus years at this point. One of the longest running independent promotions, I think, at least in the Midwest, easily. Um, they do pretty well for themselves. Always a ruckus crowd, and it's a good time to be out there. It's probably the top drawing company in the state of Ohio, I would imagine. And then Unsanctioned Pro is um, out of Columbus, Ohio, and they've only been around for maybe a couple of years, I think. But they're a growing company that's on the rise. You can catch a lot of their shows on, or pretty much all of their shows on IWTV. Just go on there, type in Unsanctioned Pro. They've had quite a few independent stars come through there and are currently there, like myself, Lord Crew. Let's see. Myron Reed is a regular there. And there's Alex Shelley's been through there. Steve Manders has been through there. There's just a lot of guys and girls. Billy Starks is a pretty regular wrestler there. There's just a ton of talent there, and I hope that they can start to get the notoriety that they deserve. The promoter out there, Derek, is works really hard to give the fan base a quality, entertaining product, and I think he does a real good job.
And it does seem like, there are a lot of new wrestling promotions coming up on the rise that are maybe have better values than maybe the old West days of pro wrestling.
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It seems like at least, especially in the past, I don't know, 3 years or so, it seems like a lot of things have changed. Some of that's for the good, some of it, not so good. But it seems like things are things like accountability are being taken into consideration, which is a great thing.
Oh yeah.
It's something that should have been doing the whole time. Which it's very exciting time to be applying your trade as a professional wrestler in a time in a place where people can be held accountable for the things they do and everything like that, and it just makes it for a better working environment.
Oh, for sure. Speaking of work environments, can you tell us about the no holds barred, no ropes street fight against Kevin Giza?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, that's coming up here soon, isn't it? Um, oh, actually, I guess it would be past by the time that or would it? I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that because um, I I know Giza very well. We kind of came up, or he kind of came up alongside me. I met him when he was coming out of a place called OVW in Louisville, Kentucky. And he came to where I was, and we started having matches. And I've always enjoyed working with Kevin. He's a good kid with a lot of potential, a lot of talent, and so the prospect of doing a no ring, uh, no holds barred type of match with him is intriguing because that's kind of a little more his style, a little more his road to hoe. But um, I have some pretty good background with that kind of stuff as well. So I think it's going to be something to remember, to say the very least.
I always feel like, hardcore matches and death matches are their own thing, but when you take it outside of a ring and have like no ropes or no ring death matches, it always fascinates me. Like, what's your obviously you've been doing this for a while. Like, what's your mentality going into a match that literally has no ring?
Well, it definitely changes to some aspect. It's a lot more dangerous in the sense that when you're in a ring, you kind of you know what you're dealing with. Everybody has got the same space. They have the same tools at their disposal. You know, you got ropes. You got some people like to jump off of them. Some people like to utilize them in different ways. But you kind of have like a basic setup. When you take the ring away and you just put it in an environment, then you don't really know how the other person's mind's going to work. You don't know if they're going to want to keep it to, close quarters combat type stuff, or if they're going to be the type of person that really wants to get dirty with weapons and use anything that's not nailed down. Like, you really don't know how to prepare for it, except for basically to be prepared to keep your head on a swivel and kind of make up your own mind of like, oh, what kind of person are you, or what kind of a combatant are you going to be, or am I going to be the type of dude that's just going to stick with what I know and just go at it with my hands and my feet, or am I going to need to up the ante a little bit and be willing to break a beer bottle over somebody's head or not? It's definitely a lot more thought provoking, and you kind of. I mean, I think I'm just going to have to go by the seat of my pants here and just see what happens.
All right. Um, can you tell us about the Planet Williams Terror Dome?
Yeah, like that was a match that I did in for IWA Mid South years ago when they were still running, and basically the match consisted of a cage with no door, so you had to climb a ladder to get into it, and then once you were in it, there was weapons attached to the cage for you to utilize throughout the match. And I do believe the only way to win was to submit your opponent for them to quit, if I recall correctly. I had the only time I think we only did one, and I wrestled a guy named Pat Monix, or Project Monix, from the Illinois area, and it was wild. Like, it was definitely an experience, because it was kind of slightly the brainchild of mine, and then slightly the majority the brainchild of the promoter. So it was definitely an interesting thing that even I had like some trouble navigating through, but it was pretty cool, actually. I'd like to do something of that sort again somewhere. Hopefully, so hopefully that'll happen someday.
Maybe
And I can
the
bring it to a larger stage, perhaps.
maybe the no rope street fight will accumulate to a Planet Williams Terror Dome match.
You never know, man. It very well could.
But is that like a cool thing to have a match named after you?
Oh, it definitely is. Like, I think it is. So like, there was a period of time, I guess within the past couple of years, that a lot of people had shows named after them, like entire shows where it was just
Yes.
like, and I mean, Effie still does usually on the WrestleMania weekend or whatever. He has the Effie's Big Gay Brunch, and there are some other people who have that as well. But there was a period of time where there was a ton of those happening, and I mean, it's just a cool thought, like to be like, oh, like what you're doing is relevant enough for somebody to name an entire show to you, or what you're doing is so pivotal to a company that they allow an entire match to be dedicated to you. Yeah, it's a very cool thing. Um, and like I said, I'd like to do it again. So hopefully that opportunity will come.
Okay. Can you tell us about your relationship with your tag team partner and unsigned and don't care Gary FNJ?
Oh yeah, Gary and I met. Gosh, I guess it was quite a little. It was a little while ago, years ago even, and we just kind of clicked pretty quickly, and then we'd see each other here and there at shows, and we always just kind of clicked together. And then I do believe it was coming out of the pandemic. We got booked to wrestle each other, and we wrestled each other, and it was almost like in a weird way like wrestling a mirror image of yourself, just like an opposite version. Like I always kind of say that Gary and I are kind of like the same coin. We're just two different sides.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, we both think the same, but we do things differently. But in that essence of we think the same, we both obviously care very much about what we do. We've dedicated our entire adult lives to it, and we've been in the ring with some of the best in the world and held our own. But we both also have that little bit of a chip on our shoulder where we've had the opportunity, or we've been in the ring with these people, and we've learned from them and taught them in a lot of ways too. But we've never really got the opportunity to ascend like others have. That's kind of where unsigned don't care came from, because to us it's not necessarily about getting signed. Because I mean, Lord knows that if the opportunity came to make really big money in wrestling, both of us would take it. Um, but it's more of a mindset of it doesn't matter if we're signed or not, we're still going to be the best on every show we're on. We're still going to bring it like nobody else can bring it, and it's kind of just a shared determination we have that has brought us together. And now, I mean, like he's so good at like so many things. That a lot of people take for granted, and I don't think he even realizes it sometimes. But that's one of the great things about him is he he's in a lot of ways very humble about what he brings to the table, and he's like really like there's you don't get a lot of friends in professional wrestling, and I have a very small circle, and Gary is definitely in it, and I'm definitely glad to have him as a partner as well as a crew as well.
So you're saying under the right conditions you'd be signed in due care.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I will always care about professional wrestling, of course. But the aspect of the don't care is definitely a like a don't care what you think about us type deal
Yes.
or whatever. But yeah, if the opportunity came and it was a good opportunity to take, I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't. I mean, I've put a lot of thought into it as time has gone. I don't think I would sign any contract at this point, but if it was, lucrative or I felt like it would be good for me, then yeah, I would absolutely sign a contract to wrestle on a high level or higher level.
It does seem like, obviously you and Gary are, a very notable and respected tag team. But on the opposite end of that spectrum, you guys have beat the crap out of each other on more than one occasion.
Oh yeah, yeah, we definitely have. It's fun in a weird way because we know we bring out the best in each other. So we actually revel at the idea of getting to wrestle each other because I get they kind of say that like nobody hits you like your best friend hits you, and nobody pushes you like your best friend will push you too. So whenever we wrestle each other, it's going to be knocked down. It's going to be it's going to be a slobber knocker for sure. We're and we know what each other can do too, so it always makes for a interesting battle. But we actually just recently had our second match in the chains for ICW No Holds Barred. And that's the second time we've wrestled in that environment. The first time was in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I went to do a suicide dive on him, and he moved, and my head bounced off the concrete, and it completely knocked me out and busted me open real bad, and gave myself a pretty good concussion. To this day, I still don't remember that match, but apparently we wrestled for like another 10 minutes or so.
So you
Yeah.
would say the most recent match was a little bit better because you could actually remember it.
Yes, in that respect, yeah. Like since I can remember that one, and I won this one. He won the first one, partly
Even
maybe
better.
because I knocked myself out, but the recent one I won. So yeah, that one was a little bit better for me for sure. But yeah, that one the most recent we had was in New Jersey. So we've kind of traveled around a little bit just to wrestle each other, and that's kind of cool.
I'm curious, do you go, when you don't remember a match because obviously you got concussed, do you go back and watch it to see like what you did, or?
Yeah, I do. I've done it a couple times. Unfortunately, that's happened to me on more than one occasion. One of the times was, shoot, it was a long time ago. It was, I remember it was the day before Thanksgiving, I believe. And it was a show for Heartland Wrestling Association, and it was a Survivor Series elimination match. And I can't remember who all was in it, but I know it was myself and Jake Chris were on the same team, and an old a buddy of mine, Dustin Ray's, was on that team, and then there were like two more, and then on the other side there was I know Sammy Callahan was on the other side, and John Moxley was on the other side, and I can't really remember who else was on the other side, but it came down to me and Jake and I think Sammy Moxley and somebody else, and Sammy powerbombed me, and I was out, and I didn't wake up until I guess a little while later, and I was laying on beside the entranceway. The match was still going on because it was an elimination match, but so I crawl my way to the back, and I'm just kind of sitting there feeling sick, and eventually the match ends, and I remember Sammy, I think it was, came rushing back, and he was like, "Dude, are you okay?" And I said, "I don't know, man. I don't remember anything like past the power bomb." And he was like, "The power bomb I gave you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Dude, that was like 15 minutes before we eliminated you." So I like wrestled for like 15 minutes. I never saw that match, but then I had another situation for Rockstar Pro where I was wrestling Trey Miguel, and Ricky Steamboat was actually our special guest referee. And at the time, Trey and I were in a pretty heated feud, and the bell rang, and I ran at him to give him a drop kick, and he was standing in the corner, and he moved out of the way, and my hips went up and kind of like laid on the top buckle, and I just kind of flipped back into the ring, but I just landed right on my head, and I was out like a light, and I wrestled the whole match, and it eventually ended, and then I did get to see that one, and I started watching it, and I was waiting for a moment because I did remember something from the match. I remembered like I had like a piece of fabric in my gear, and I remember taking it out and like kind of discarding it and just kind of throwing it to the side. And that's the only thing I can remember from the match. So I'm watching this match play out. It was like 12, 15 minutes or so. And I'm just watching, waiting for me to grab that piece of fabric and kind of pull it off my gear and throw it to the side. And I'm watching, and I'm thinking, I don't know who in the world is doing this, because I mean, unless I told you that I was completely out of it, you probably wouldn't know. I'm just on complete autopilot, just wrestling a match. Ricky Steamboat's him and Trey both knew I was messed up, and he was trying to like fast count me and get me out of the match, and I just kept kicking out. It just kept going. Um, and it was kind of creepy, or it was like really, really freaky watching, because I'm like, wow, that's me, that's my body, and I'm doing this stuff, but I don't know who's doing it, because I wasn't doing it. Like my muscle memory was just doing everything. It was pretty wild. And then the match finally ends. I put Trey in a chokehold, and he passed out, I think. And then Ricky raises my hand, and I reach down and I grab that piece of fabric that I've been waiting this whole time for me to do, and I finally pull it out and throw it to the side. And then Ricky beat me up a little bit, but I don't remember that either. And so like I just all that whole entire match was just gone from my memory.
It sounds like a cool moment. Obviously, getting beat up by Ricky the Dragon.
Oh yeah, very cool, super cool. It's just a shame that that I don't really remember it.
Right. All right. Can you tell us about winning? The winner becomes the owner of the Road Home from Wrestling podcast match.
Yeah, I'm not trying to remember who did I wrestle for that?
Austin Tyler Morris.
Austin Tyler Morris, that's right. Yeah. The Road Home from Wrestling was a podcast by some local guys in Cincinnati. They no longer do it, unfortunately. They have moved on to another podcast that they do called the Never Open Podcast. I think it covers mainly New Japan Pro Wrestling. Um, but they did a podcast, and I was always kind of like a guest on it, and so was Austin Tyler Morris, and a few other local wrestlers were on it on a pretty regular basis. So they just kind of made it to where, like, okay, well, we're going to put the ownership of the podcast on the line in some matches. And I was fortunate enough to be in one of those matches, and I was the owner for a little while, and I took real good care of them. They got paid holidays, and I tried to get them a 401k started, but it was difficult with only 2 employees. But yeah, it was a good time. Good dudes.
Well, can you also tell us about winning the Ted Petty Invitational twice and almost 3 times?
Yeah. I mean, that was super cool for me at the time, because if you don't know much about the Ted Petty Invitational, it's Ted Petty was, of course, Rocco Rock from Public Enemy.
Yeah.
He was a very good dude and well respected by most of his peers and everything like that. The TPI was started in, like, I want to say 2001, if I'm not mistaken. And to this day, I think it was the 2004 Ted Petty Invitational is one of the most bought or purchased independent wrestling DVDs, I think. And there's like a long list of past winners that are just incredible. People who run the business now, basically. Just to name a few, Chris Hero won it, AJ Styles won it, Low Key won it. let's see, who else won it? Oh man, there's so many people who won it, man. Like it's crazy. Mike Quackenbush won it, I believe. Matt Seidel won it, I think. BJ Whitmer, I believe, won it once. Danny Daniels won it, the guy who runs AAW. Just a long, long list of fantastic professional wrestlers had won this tournament.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2017. I think was the first year I was in 18, 17 and 18. Yeah, like I was in it, and I went in as the champion for IWA Mid South, and I think only one person had ever defended the title all the way through. The Ted Petty at that point in time. I can't remember who it was, though. Might have been Danny Daniels. So it was highly unlikely that I would win. But then the finals came down to myself, Jake Christ, and Jonathan Gresham, and I was able to eliminate both of them and walk out the Ted Petty 2017 winner. It was very cool. It's been a at the time for me. I think I said earlier that I kind of always wrestled with a bit of a chip on my shoulder because there's been many, many times where I've got the pleasure of being in the ring with people who have gone on to do great things in professional wrestling. And I've just been waiting for my opportunity to do that. Winning the Ted Petty for me was a little bit of a glimpse of that at the time because I got to put my name in the same conversation as all those great guys who won it before me, which was just an incredible thing. And then to be the only guy to win it twice in a row is a very, very cool thing too. And I'm very happy to see that I believe it's Circle 6 is going to continue the legacy of the Ted Petty Invitational, which is an exciting thought. And hopefully I'll get an opportunity to reclaim my crown as a Ted Petty Invitational winner. But if not, that's okay too, because I'm just glad that it's continuing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even the names that you said won the tournament isn't necessarily all the names that have competed in the tournament.
Oh, absolutely
because it's
not.
an impressive list.
Absolutely.
And you won it twice in a row and was in the finals 3 years in a row. What does that kind of mean to you, to be on that list with all those incredible names, do it 2 times in a row, almost 3 times in a row?
I mean, it's great because it does show that clearly I am a top class talent, and there are people in the wrestling world that know that. And I may not be a household name by any means, but clearly my talent speaks for itself. And that's such a cool thing. And anytime anybody goes back, because I know I did when I was, a fan and just watching and just trying to pay attention to what was going on. I paid attention to the Ted Petty and some of the, just like you said, man, some of the best wrestlers in the world competed in that tournament. And the fact that I get to not only put my name with them, but put my name with the winners, and not only put my name with the winners, but I'm a 3 year in a row finalist, like you said. Like, no, I don't think anybody else had done that in that tournament, in that tournament's history. And I'm also the only person, I do believe, that all 4 times I competed in it, because I competed in 4 of them, the 17, the 18, the 19, or the 17, the 18, the 19, and then I do believe the 2021 one. I competed in as well.
Yeah.
And I went in as the champion. So in 17, I went in as the champion. In 18, I won the title at the end of it. And 19, I won the title in the second round. I would lose the title in the finals, but I did win it in the second round. And then in 2021, I went in as the champion as well. So in all four of those tournaments, I was the champion at least at some point in time during uh, my traveling through the tournament. So that's a kind of a cool little thing too. But yeah,
And you were
it's very cool.
the 2 times you did win, they were triple threat matches.
Yes.
The 2 times you lost was the last match was a singles match, so they got it a little bit easier than you did.
Yeah, I guess that is true. Not to make any excuse for myself or anything, but I think it was the 2019 when I lost to Larry D in the finals, who was an incredible talent, and I really think Impact dropped the ball with him. But I digress. I did have like 102 temperature that day, so he had a leg up on
God. All right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're one of the 4 pillars of St. Louis Pro Wrestling, right?
Unfortunately, no, I'm not. The four pillars that you're referring to are, I believe, Gary J, Matt Fitchett, of the Besties,
Yeah.
Warhorse, and
Vega.
Davey Vega, who are Matt Fitchett and Davey are Grindhouse now.
That's right.
However, Davey Vega is known as the ace of St. Louis Anarchy, and I had a couple of matches with him, and I beat him, and the fans started calling me the new ace, and kind of a sense that I was taking his spot. And I think that might be where you get that I was one of the pillars of St. Louis Anarchy. But no, I'm not. I'm just I'm an ace of a different suit to Davey Vega's ace of hearts. I guess I would be, I don't know, the ace of diamonds or something.
The ace of Cincinnati.
Yeah, like that's definitely what I am.
I mean, speaking of, Cincinnati and Ohio Pro Wrestling, Rockstar Pro.
Yes.
And you had the honor of being the last match at the East George Street arena.
Yes.
Can you tell us kind of what that meant to you obviously it's just a building, but it's the people and what happened in that building that makes it what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Rockstar was a special thing in general. I was the first main event in that building as well, and I was the last main event in that building also. So it was definitely like a full circle type of thing. And Rockstar was a very special thing from really the day it started. I think it started running in I want to say like 2012, if I'm not mistaken. And I think um, the last match there at the East Third Street building was, I think, December 2018. Is that right, or is it 2019?
I don't have that date in front of me.
I can't remember either, but it's one of those two. And like Rockstar was such a special thing because there was so much like passion that went into creating it, and the fan base was just so like incredible. Like there's really not many words that I can use to describe how passionate and involved that fan base was. It was we had the privilege of having a lot of old former ECW guys come through there. I think we had Dreamer there, we had Rhino there, we had Too Cold Scorpio there, we had Shane Douglas there multiple times. just a lot of those that era of guys came through, and almost every one of them said that it felt like an ECW feel being in that building with that fan base, and we always took a ton of pride in that because all the people there are such ECW fans. Heatwave '98 happened in Dayton, down at the Hara Arena. So it was just a such a magical time. It lasted a good 7 years, ups and downs, ins and outs. Pain and heartache, but triumph, victory. We're so prevalent in that place, and everybody gave so much to it. Um, but yeah, it was such a good time, and I do believe that it kind of came out of nowhere that we were leaving the building. It was kind of talked about slightly, but none of us really believed it. And then one day it was just like, oh yeah, we're gone. This is the last. This is the last Wednesday night amped, and it was myself, Jake Christ, and Ron Mathis, and it was oddly the Wednesday after our big anniversary show we did every year. I think it was called Seven that year, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was the next Wednesday, and it was like, okay, we're done. We're moving buildings, and it was definitely bittersweet because we'd all, like I said, we'd all put so much into it, and it was like a little dysfunctional family. And now we were all kind of forced to go our separate ways, and some weren't able to come back when when we got into a new building, and some didn't want to come back when we got into a new building, and some were trying to keep it afloat and keep it going. It was kind of heartbreaking, but it's definitely a memory that I'll have probably for forever. That'll just bring a smile to my face. Ron Mathis is one of my greatest rivals and best friends in the whole business, and it was very special to be able to have that moment with him.
Right. You also worked for CCW. What was that experience like? Because you mentioned ECW, and obviously CCW was kind of similar, and it was one of the bigger indies back in the day.
Yeah. CCW was like it was a very unique experience for me. I mean, I know everybody kind of knows now, like the interesting figure that DJ Hyde was,
Yeah.
um, and stuff like that. And he often he often made me very frustrated as a talent. Um, but like a lot of the guys I really really liked there, I got to wrestle some pretty cool people there. Like I got to be in probably the biggest thing that happened to me while I was wrestling for CCW was I got to be in Best of the Best
Yes.
one year, and I was in a triple threat with Tommy End or Malachi Black and Caleb Connolly, and just being able to do that was such a cool thing. Um, I would have loved to have a singles match with Tommy End at some point in time, but he was off to the WWE, I believe, quickly after that. Uh, but yeah, man, that was a really cool experience. I always enjoyed getting to work for CZW. Um, Wish it could have been more consistent and stuff like that, but it was good times. Met a
I
lot of really really cool people out there.
I have a soft spot for CCW, and I think everybody that I've come across that I've talked to have all said we wish it was more consistent.
Yeah, yeah. It's that was my biggest issue with it
Yeah.
is just trying to get us. I remember because they would come to Dayton every once in a while, and every time they'd come to Dayton, they would use me. I think I wrestled Joe Gacy when they came down there. I wrestled Gulak when they came down there once. And I had good matches with them. And then when they brought me to do Best of the Best, basically DJ said, "Okay, man, go out there, get over, and you'll have a spot." I was like, "Awesome!" So I did. I did the match. Got a "Please come back" chant from the crowd. Crowd seemed to really, really like me. Then he didn't book me for like 6 months. And then one time he booked me, and I got there, and I was like, "All right, man, what do you got for me?" He was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were coming."
God. Yeah,
Which for me, that's like a 13-hour drive if you're not flying me.
oh God.
and clearly he wasn't flying me.
Yeah.
So yeah, just forgot that he booked me. It's like, oh wow, that's awesome.
Well, I think that's a good segue into our next segment. Aaron Williams's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Oh man, you know what? I fear these questions because I never can think of one. Um, I can tell you a bad experience that I had that's relatively recent because I don't have a great memory. That's why it's so hard for me to come up with them. Because crazy stuff does happen on the road, like on a regular basis. This past weekend, I basically myself and Gary J and Sean O'Brien and Hoodfoot basically made my car a hotel room for the entire weekend. So that was fun. But one particular story that I have is I was I was booked for a show that was quite a bit of ways, and the guy had to fly me in the last time he booked me. So that's what I expected this time, excuse me, as well. Uh, but we got about a week till the show, and he messaged me, and I think I messaged him, and I said, "Hey man, you haven't given me any of my flight information." And he said, "Oh, I thought you were driving." And it was actually the weekend of Easter. I really enjoy Easter. It's like my favorite holiday, so I try to be home for it. And it was the Saturday before Easter, and I said, "Well, man, when you booked me for this, I told you that I wanted to be home for my family on Easter, so you needed to fly me in, and you said that was cool." And he was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I did say that." So he was like, "Okay, well, give me some time, and I'll get it figured out." So he messages me back a little while later, and he's like, "Hey man, I just looked at tickets for this weekend, and they are ridiculous. So how do you feel about riding a bus, and then I'll fly you home?" I was like, "Okay, bud, that's fine." So I rode a bus for 15 hours, and was smashed in a seat for 10 hours of it. So that was great. Um, then when I got to leave and I was trying to go home, they canceled my flight, and I had to change flights and move to a later flight, and which meant that I didn't get home to be with my family on Easter, which was the whole point of this in the first place. So it was a massive debacle. But that's probably the most recent one I could think of. That's pretty crazy, or pretty at least disheartening.
Oh, that really sucks. Immediately when you said
Yeah.
bus, I knew this was not going to go in the
Oh yeah. Whew, and I'm just trying to fly through the story too. It was a rough one.
Well, there was one name that I'd like to talk about. Maybe not a big name in pro wrestling, Ren Narita, but he is
Ah.
one of those guys that kind of embodies a, a style of wrestling that kind of fits what Aaron Williams kind of does. Would I be wrong in saying that?
No, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that, man. Honestly, um, that was shoot. I was really excited about that match. So it was for Black Label Pro, and I can't remember where they run out of now, but it's for Black Label Pro,
I
and
believe they're in Chicago.
yeah, that's right. Um, and I think it was only like my third show for them at the time, and I had spoken to the promoter personally, and I just asked him, I was like, "Hey, man, I think I got I think I have a lot to offer. If you feel privy to give me an opportunity to show you that, then I'd love to take one." And much to his credit, he was just like, "Okay, I'll give you something." And then he let me know that Narita was coming in, and that I was going to wrestle him. So I had, luckily for me, I've had plenty of experience working with international talent. I've worked with a lot of guys from Mexico. I've worked with some other guys from Japan and some guys from Britain and Germany and stuff like that. So the language barrier isn't really that bad for me. I mean, it's there obviously, but
Yeah.
it's not terrible. I got to work with Shigehiro Airie quite a few times, and Arrow Boy out of Mexico quite a few times, as well as a more local fella by the name of uh, Super Zeta, who passed away recently,
Yeah.
or within a couple of years. And so when Ren got brought up, and I knew I was wrestling him, I got really excited. I started to watch some of his stuff and everything like that, and I was like, man, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. Like pretty much my whole career. Anybody who's ever been to Japan, the moment they see me and they meet me and they talk to me, they're like, "Dude, if you could just go to Japan once, it would change your whole life." Like they would love you out there. So when the opportunity to wrestle Red came, I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be a lot of fun." And when the day came and we got together, it was super easy. Like wrestling is such a unique thing because, like I said, there is these language barriers, but what brings us together is this thing that we all love, and it almost obliterates any language barrier between us because we I don't know if it's like just the body language or just like the overall vision of professional wrestling in general that like transcends separation. But something just happened with Ren and I, and we just kind of clicked, and we went out. We had a really good little match, and I hear he's doing really well right now in New Japan, which I'm very happy for him, and I hope that. I mean, the sky is the limits for the kid.
Oh yeah.
He's got an incredible future ahead of him, and I was just super happy to be a small little footnote in it, to be honest. Um, but yeah, our styles are very similar, and made for a good match.
And if like anybody's listening to this like a couple years into the future, and I said, he's not a big name like now, and probably he'll be IWGP champion in a couple of years.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, man. Like
Yeah.
Ren, he's really good, and they seem to be treating him pretty well out there right now. So I'm sure they probably have big plans for him.
Oh yeah.
So
All right. We've been talking about everybody that you've wrestled. It's a who's, a library, incredible names of all the people you wrestled over the years. Can you tell us about wrestling a broom?
I'm sorry.
Could you tell us about wrestling a broom?
Oh yes, yeah, like that was a difficult match, man. It really was. It was hard to. because like you can't really work the arm.
Yes.
You can't take out a knee. It's even hard to work the neck. Like, what are you going to do, right? So you kind of just gotta go headstrong at it and just hope for the best and hope that he doesn't sweep you away. Uh, That's yeah, it's funny and it's silly, but yeah, like I hear a lot that at least in my area, people say if you can't have a good match with Aaron Williams, then you probably should hang it up because he can have a good match with a broom. So a situation kind of like just brought itself up, and I said, well. I was supposed to wrestle somebody, and they didn't show up. So I said, okay, well, I'll just wrestle a broom then. And they said, okay. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go wrestle a broom now. And I went and wrestled a broom.
You put that theory to the test.
I did, and apparently it did. It went pretty well. Although all the brooms that I pass by now, they look at me kind of funny, man. I think they're heated. They want their revenge for their fellow cleaning utensil. I'm gonna have to watch out for them.
That does beg the question, the weirdest question you'll ever be asked in a wrestling interview. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual Rock.
You know what? I mean, I would consider wrestling a Rock. I don't think it wants none, but I've been known to break bricks in my life, and I don't think that Rock wants any of this. But I wouldn't be against it.
Well, just for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tuxedo Man
Wow,
match. An Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
wow, that's impressive.
Yes.
That is impressive.
It was
I
definitely.
know. I think I know Psycho Mike. Actually, isn't he from Canada? Is
Yes,
he a
he
Canadian
is.
fella? Yeah, I know Psycho Mike. Yeah,
He just wrestled a dog recently.
nice. Good for him.
Yeah. One step closer to a human being. Alright, can you tell us about your love of Bob's Burgers?
Oh yeah, man! I can tell you all about my loves for Bob's Burgers. Um, I think I fell in love with it. It only took me about I don't know 5 or 6 minutes to just completely fall in love with that show. It kept popping up on my Netflix at the time, and it just said, "Hey, you should watch Bob's Burgers because you watch this and you watch this and this other thing you watch." And I kept on going, I don't know, man. What do these Netflix algorithms know anyway? They probably don't know nothing about me. And then one day I just couldn't think of anything else to watch. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And within 5 minutes, I fell in love with this show because it did a very, very good job of introducing all of the characters in like one foul swoop. Like episode one, the first 5 minutes, you kind of figure out immediately what everybody's all about, what everybody's there for, and it's great. So it won me over in that moment, and I think I don't know if you've watched the show at all, but um, there's like so many cool little side characters, but of course the main characters are what people usually stay around for. Bob and Linda and Tina and Jean and Louise are like the main five characters, the Belcher family.
Yeah.
And I really like I feel Bob. Like Bob is easily my favorite character, and I just feel him. Like I see his like trials and his tribulations, just of like how he deals with stuff, and he just loves making burgers so much. He loves cooking, and he just wants his restaurant to be a success so bad, and he really doesn't know why it's not, but it's not, and he's just struggling, and he's just trying to make it work. and I feel that I really do like it, and I think I understand Bob, so I love it because I too am a person who just fell in love with a thing, and I have a passion for it, and I just want to do well at it, and I just want it to be great, and I'll do anything to make that happen. And maybe to some people, I should be at a further place than where I am, and maybe some people are fine with where I'm at. Um, but I know that I have a lot to give, just like Bob feels. Bob feels like he makes these burgers, and he puts all this passion and all this creativity behind it, and he just wants people to have his burgers. That's it. He just wants people to enjoy his burgers, and I just want people to enjoy my wrestling. So I'm like, yeah, man, I get you, dude.
I love how you brought it right back around to wrestling.
Well, I mean, it's some could say. I mean, I guess I don't really think this anymore, but at one point in time, I thought some might be able to say it's sad that wrestling has just consumed me as much as it has, but I don't think it is sad anymore. Now I'm kind of just of the mindset that no, I fell in love with this thing because it was great to me, and I found solace in it, and I found peace and joy and happiness, and like it taught weird life lessons. I mean, not like the Attitude Era stuff where Mae Young was giving birth to hands and stuff, but watching Shawn Michaels' boyhood dream come true, stuff like that was like, gave you that never quit, never give up attitude. And wrestling is just it captivated me, man. And so now it's just since I started on this journey, it's just never stopped. People ask me all the time, like, because I didn't start going to concerts. Like, I love music as well. I enjoy music. I'm a drummer, so I do enjoy music. But I had gone to an actual like music concert uh, until like 3 years ago,
Oh wow!
and and people were like, "How is that possible?" And I'm like, "Well, it's because once I started wrestling, man, that was all it was. That was it for me. Like I wrestled. I went places. I got better. I went to seminars. I went to shows. I did training. I studied tapes. Like that was it for me. Like, and I didn't stop until. I mean, I guess I still do it. I'm watching wrestling right now as we're having this conversation. I'm watching wrestling.
You watching NXT?
But no, I'm actually watching Great Muda
Ooh,
right now.
sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
That's better.
So yeah, it just So for me, like this was it. Like wrestling was it. Like it's what I'm gonna do. It's what I'm gonna be. I'm going to embody it in the best ways I can, and in a lot of ways, it's paid off for me. And like you mentioned the St. Louis pillars of wrestling, which are, of course, Gary J, Matt Fitchett, Davey Vega, and the Warhorse. There really isn't a known Ohio pillars, but there's, a lot that, you could point at. And I think that I could probably safely say that if there was an Ohio wrestling pillars, I would probably be one of them. If not one of them, then at least
I can
really close to being one of them. And that's a massive point of pride to me. Like I want, like when I came up and started training, we had HWA here, which had a developmental contract, and guys that came from HWA were Matt Stryker and Nigel McGuinness and VJ Whitmer and Chad Collier and the Jablonski brothers and Russ and Charlie Haas came through here. The Island Boys came through here. John Moxley came through here, obviously. Sammy Callahan, like there is such a massive history of professional wrestling and of incredibly talented guys. Cody Hawk, who trained most of them,
Yep.
including myself. and we have such like a rich lineage that I feel like people forgot about at some point in time, or whatever. And I would love to find a way to bring that back somehow, some way. And I don't know, maybe we'll get to, maybe we won't. We'll see. But I can tell you that Aaron Williams is going to try. That's for sure.
Maybe a Planet Williams training facility?
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I am actually training people as we speak. Myself and a gentleman named Jay West took over my trainer's school. Cody Hawk has moved on, and he's enjoying life and wrestling in another way. And he had to leave the area. Cody trained Moxley, he trained Sammy Callahan, he trained LA Knight, and a host of others, and stuff. Myself, Ron Mathis, he trained us as well. He's trained a ton of guys. And he moved on, and I was asked if I would have any interest in helping take over his school. So I did. So I helped train at Hawks Wrestling Academy, which I think has a Facebook and a Twitter and all that stuff. So you can check that out through there. If you're in my area and you want to learn from me, then that's the way you can do it.
And those are big shoes to fill, Cody Hawks.
Yeah, they are. And to be honest, it's a little intimidating because yeah, like you said, it's huge shoes to fill. Man, he's so incredibly good at what he does. Not only at training, but just in ring in general. Like I've seen that man do things that boggle my mind to this day at how he was able to do that. But it's definitely a task, but it's one that I'm prepared to take on. Myself and Jay both are fully ready to put our best foot forward, and I've thankfully had the opportunity to learn little tidbits about professional wrestling from just some incredible people, some of them Hall of Famers, some of them world champions. So I got a lot of knowledge in this old dome of mine, and I'm ready to give it to whomever wants it, really.
All right. You mentioned that the first concert you saw was 3 years ago. Who was that?
Actually, it's probably going to, you may not even know who they are. It's a band called Striper. The I can't remember, one of their members has been on Talk as Jericho quite a few times, and the other band was Six, which was like an old '80s band who I can't even remember their hit now, but it was totally on a whim. I do kind of like Striper, like because I like that '80s hair band sound. And a buddy of mine was like, "Hey man, I got these tickets. Do you want to go to this concert?" And I was like, "You know what? Sure, why not? I'll go." And I went, and that started like a little pattern of like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna go to concerts for a little while, and that was a fun experience. But also, I don't really have like a specific taste. I mean, I do, but I don't. Um, so my concerts varied from like the Grateful Dead, uh, Lil Wayne. I went to a Lil Wayne concert. I went to like a Scott Sapp, who was the lead singer of Creed. I went to one of his concerts. There's a few others in there that are just like kind of unique, like, even for me. I'm just like, because most of the time I just get asked, like some of my friends were like, "Hey, I'm going to this. Do you want to go?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, all right, sure, I'll go." And then I get there and I'm like, "What? Why am I this? Okay, all right, we're here. Let's just enjoy it."
that does beg the question, the colossal question. They're making a movie about you. It's going to be a big blockbuster promotion. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first three songs on the Arian Williams wrestling career soundtrack up to this point?
Oh, that is a fun question. The first three songs on the Aaron Williams wrestling career soundtrack. Let's see here. I would say the first one would probably be I can't remember who sings it right now. It's a song from, is it Kickboxer? Might be called Never Surrender. I think that's what it is. So that would be the first one. The second one would be Here I Go Again on My Own. And then the third one would probably have to be Baddest Man Alive by the Black Keys.
Sweet. That's a solid three. Do you lock it in?
What's that?
Do you lock it in?
Yeah.
Alright. Alright, now we got the soundtrack down. Everybody knows that you get the soundtrack before you do anything else in a movie, including the script. Who plays Aaron Williams? And you can't say yourself because you're legally obligated to do a Stan Lee cameo.
Okay. Let's go with. I'm gonna go with Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy plays me.
Ooh, okay. I think that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have to shave his head, but that's fine. If you've seen Bronson, he's fine. He'll be okay.
Fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we got you cast. Every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be three people in your movie, and who would play them?
Ooh, that's good.
I feel like Gary has to be one of them, right?
Oh yeah, Gary's gonna have to be in there. Who would play a good Gary? Shoot, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Who plays Star-Lord?
Oh, Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. Oh no, I mean my buddy Zach Spades, who is a former wrestler, he would be in it as well. That would probably be Chris Pratt. Gary would be played by. Shoot, that's tough. That's a tough cast. Who would play Gary? Oh man.
You always get you with one question on Wrestling With.
Yeah. Shoot. I want to say, although the age doesn't work though, but the attitude definitely works, but the age doesn't. But I'm going to go with it anyway. Gary is played by Sam Elliott.
I think that.
Circa Roadhouse, Sam Elliott.
We could get the CGI
All right.
out, make them younger.
Okay. All right. Good. That's it then.
All right.
Sam Elliott.
That's two. We got one more.
Oh, one more. Oh gosh. Man, my life is not really full of people, is it? Let's see. Well, I mean, I guess it would have to be the only other person I could think of would be Lord Crew. He's gonna have to be in there. Who would play Crew? Gosh, Crew's so funny though. He's such a funny dude. And he's obviously a very intimidating dude as well. Maybe I mean, this is going back to freaking Marvel movies, but perhaps Chris Hemsworth could be Crew.
Okay.
It's possible.
Sweet.
He's gonna have to dye his hair, but maybe I don't know if he's got.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd watch it.
Chris Pratt, Sam Elliott, Tom Hardy. We need to start selling the pre-orders right now.
All right, let's do it. So somebody call up Marvel Studios, get them to put a comic character behind it, and it'll be all right.
Well, there's another show I'd like to get your opinion on. Tell us your love of How I Met Your Mother.
Oh wow, I haven't watched that in forever. Oh, but yeah, dude, like I was into How I Met Your Mother for a really long time. Um, Part of it, I think, admittedly, because I was married at the time, and my buddy that I mentioned, Zach, he kind of got us into that, and he said that myself and my ex-wife reminded him of Marshall and Lily. So that we kind of like fell in love with the show because of that fact a little bit, and yeah, it took off. It had like a little life of its own for a while, and unfortunately, my marriage did not work out. She has moved on with her life, and I wish her nothing but the best. But I still love the show. The show is still a great show. And although that ninth season, man, that last season, it's a head scratcher for me. Like I don't know how I feel about it to this day. I'm still kind of I don't know.
And
I
that
don't
was my
know,
next
man.
question.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes. How did you feel about the last episode? How they ended?
Oh man, I just shoot, man. Like, well, I mean, the show's over. I don't think it's going to be spoilers for anybody that's listening to this, but I don't know, man. I just didn't like it. I was like, why would you go back to Robin, man?
Yes.
Like, especially after we met the mother finally, and she was so cool, and she, like, it's like, man, she's great. She's
Yes.
like perfect, and then. And then it like he goes back to Robin with the blue trumpet, and it was like, oh, well, that's lame, man.
Yes.
This is lame.
Yes. It's like
I will say that I was really, really happy with the way Barney's ending came.
yes.
He finally had a daughter, and he found a woman he fell in love with. I was like, oh, that's pretty cute, actually. But the Ted ending and the Robin ending, no, like, and I don't even remember what the Marshall and Lily ending was. I don't even know what happened with them really.
I think they lived happily ever after.
Well, that's good. Good for
Yeah.
them. But yeah, Ted's a bonehead too, though. So it's funny. I find that happens with me a lot, with the exception of Bob, because I love Bob. Um, but nearly every show that I watch and get into, I really don't like the lead character. It's like all the other characters I really enjoy, but the lead character is like, that's a doofus. He's a doofus. Yeah. Like I really enjoyed Scrubs, but I felt the same way. I was like, JD's a goofball, man. He's a goofy.
No, when it comes to How I Met Your Mother, I agree. Like you spend all of that time, what, 9 years waiting for the mother, and then they introduce the mother, and then they kill the mother off. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, not a
I
fan.
was so disappointed, but you know, I guess I mean they did talk about it. Apparently, the reason why they did that is because it was supposed to be just one setting of him telling this story to these kids about how he met your mother, which to us was 9 seasons, but to them apparently it was just one story.
Yeah,
So they filmed all that story with those kids at that age range, as this is what the story is. But then as the show went on and the seasons went on, they kind of like realized that, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this. But then by then the kids had aged out, so they couldn't refilm the stuff. So they were kind of like handcuffed. They kind of handcuffed themselves,
and that's
because I
why you
think the
film multiple scenes for multiple
yeah, right. But
multiple scenarios.
yeah, like don't get so specific.
Yeah.
Like, leave things open ended.
Well, onto one controversial subject to the most controversial of subjects.
Okay,
Pineapple on pizza. What's your stand?
I'm for it. I'm for it. I think it takes a unique taste, but I am definitely not against it. But then again, I'm a very open-minded person about pretty much everything, including pizza. Uh, the only thing that I mean, just because somebody else may like, because I know there are people out there who like anchovies on pizza.
Yeah.
Would I ever eat anchovies on pizza? Absolutely not. But if somebody else wants to, that's their prerogative. They can do whatever they want. Like, I think that would ruin a pizza, personally. But if that's what you enjoy, then by all means, enjoy your fishy pizza. Like, I will be fine with my pineapple on my pizza. I'm cool with it. I ain't scared.
Kind of seems like you're turning heel on the anchovies now.
Sorry. I mean, I don't eat fish though, so I have this rule: I don't eat anything that could possibly, in some way, eat me. So I try not to eat like fish, which I know is a dumb rule, and it is a weird thing that I have concocted in my head, but it's in there, and I can't really get rid of it now.
Alright, well, one thing that won't eat you, what's your spirit Pokemon?
Shoot, man, I don't. Probably Bulbasaur.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. As much as I would like to be a fire Pokemon, I have to admit that I'm definitely an Earth guy. I'm an Earth Pokemon. Just like I don't know if you watched the Avatar with the Last Airbender and all that stuff. I would of course love to be a water bender, but no, I'm definitely an Earth bender. If I was a bender at all, I'd definitely be an Earth bender.
You know,
Uh,
I'm a big anime guy, and I have not seen Avatar.
really, like I
Yeah,
loved Avatar,
it's
man.
one of
I
those things
enjoyed it.
that just I couldn't find it online afterwards, and it just hasn't come into my queue.
That's crazy. It's a good one. I truly enjoyed that one. Um, I mean, I've enjoyed some anime. Unfortunately, though, since life is wrestling and everything like that, I haven't really gotten the opportunity to really sit down and really like dig into some animes. Like, there's some that I like. I like One Punch Man. I obviously like Avatar. I like some of the older ones like Fist of the North Star and stuff like that.
Mm.
But I haven't got to really like dive into anything recent. I would like to. Maybe one day I'll take a vacation and get to do that.
Just binge every single episode of One Piece in one day.
Maybe I will. Shoot. Like, just carve me out like a couple weekends and be like, all right, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna sit here and watch anime.
You'll have
Yeah.
Terminator eyes by the end of it. But no, man, you'll miss it out. There's a lot of good ones out there. Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, Spy Family has really become a fan favorite right now.
Really, I like. I've heard a lot about Demon Slayer, but I haven't got into it. But hopefully, some point in time, life will slow down. Well, I mean, it slows down for all of us, but unless you're Tom Petty, because if you live life by the Tom Petty philosophy, like I do, if you never slow down, you never grow old. So that's really what I'm going for right now. I just stop. I don't stop moving. Honestly, this conversation is probably the longest I've sat in one place that hasn't been my car driving somewhere in well over like 3 weeks.
Well, from one, workhorse to another, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do
Yes,
you
Tracy.
know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
Uh, Shoot, I can't remember it right now off the top of my head. You got me. Uh, I know it's because a thug can't spell.
Yes.
I
T is for
know that
terrible.
part.
T is for terrible. H is for hell. U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a thug can't spell.
Yeah. Good old Tracy, man. I miss that dude every day.
You got a Tracy story, Tracy Smothers story?
Oh gosh, I mean, fortunately I have a lot of Tracy Smothers stories,
Oh, definitely.
but the one that like sticks out to me uh, very vividly is when I was, gosh, a couple of years in, I guess. Tracy was coming down to HWA to do just to do a couple little here and there spots. I guess he was there like maybe 3 weeks in a row or something. And I would just introduce myself to him, just like, hello, I'm Aaron. It's a pleasure to meet you. And he was always very kind, but we never really had a conversation. Um, and I'm really, really bad about this. But so then HWA closed down, and I didn't see Tracy for like a year or something, or longer even. And then I was on a show with him. And I have unfortunately, because, I have always worked pretty much a full-time job as well as wrestle. If I ever had any shows that were in the middle of the week or on a Friday, I'm usually showing up like as the show's starting. Well, on this particular day, it was that case. So I go to a show in the middle of the week, and Tracy's on it, and I hadn't seen Tracy in years. And from any part of my knowledge whatsoever, Tracy just doesn't know who I am at all. Um, and I walk in, and I'm going up the stairs to the locker room, and Tracy's coming down them, and he stops me and he says, "Hey, Aaron, buddy. How you doing? You look real good, man. You still doing this, that, and whatever?" And like he's like actually talking to me like he's a part of my life. And I'm terrible with names. I'm awful with them. I often have to like repeat them multiple times just to remember them. But I was sitting there, and he like went on and everything. And as soon as he walked away, I thought to myself, "That's Tracy Smothers. Who's a legend. The Young Pistols, the FBI, Freddie Joe Floyd. It's Tracy Smothers, man." And he took the time and the memory to actually remember my name and like actual things about my life. And we only had like maybe one conversation, if that. And it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Like I was like just in utter shock of how much he cared. And then he like never really stopped doing that either. Like then every time after that, it was the same stuff. And like he was always so encouraging and just such an incredible joy to have in any locker room, in any place. Because Tracy cared not only about wrestling and putting on a good show, but he cared about everybody on the show too. He wanted everybody to do their best. He wanted everybody to get every opportunity they could, and he was willing to help out in any way he could. Like I got to wrestle him. I guess it was maybe like a year and a half before he passed, I guess.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, he maybe a little longer. It wasn't that long before he passed, but and just he's just it makes me smile. Just the way he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, brother, like I know you got all them kicks and stuff, and I want you to do all those things and all those things you do and everything like that. But just go a little easy on me. I'm getting up in years and everything like that. And I can't move as way I used to." And I'm like, "Okay, Tracy, we'll do whatever you want." And then he walks away, and a few minutes later he comes back. He's like, "Well, maybe we could do this." And then I'm like, "Okay, Tracy, we'll do that." Then he walks away. Comes back a little bit later. He's like, "Well, maybe we'll do this too." And then basically by the time we get out there, he's ready to have a full match. It's just like, oh man, he's such a man. Like, unfortunately, I've lost quite a few people that I cared about in this business, but Tracy is definitely one that I truly, truly miss every day because just the vibe that he brought to any locker room he was in is unmatched. I don't think we'll ever have another Tracy Smothers, and that is a sad thought. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean that was an awesome story. That made me smile.
yeah, he was a great man, a great man.
Yeah.
If you got the chance to meet Tracy Smothers, you met a wonderful person.
Unfortunately, I have not. Really wish I did, but I kind of get to feel like I kind of met him by the stories that I get to hear from people like you that have actually met him.
Well, that's great, man. Like he's such a good dude. Such a and he added so much to everywhere he was. Like, I could probably talk for a while about just the utter impact that Tracy had on all of us, but I won't. We can move on.
Okay. Where do you see? I think we could kind of already answer this, but where do you see yourself in 5 years?
um, well, I expect to still be training people in some way. I expect to still be wrestling, hopefully at a higher level, and getting to, do more of the things that I know that I should be doing or should have been doing for a while, and everything like that. So I'm still gonna be kicking in 5 years, Lord willing. That I'm still, still breathing. I'll still be kicking. So hopefully, just maybe in Europe or in Japan by then, um, something like that. But we'll still be going, still being the baddest, still being the dead ringer. I've already been dead for years. I can't do much else. There was another one. There was another one. Dead for years. That was the one too.
And what's a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Aaron Williams is all about?
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see. I think any of my matches with Gary J would be good. If you want a quick look, let's see if you go on YouTube and look up Aaron Williams versus um, the Infinite Tim from Unsanctioned Pro. That's a real good one. I try to think of things that are just like YouTube accessible. If you have IWTV, I wrestled Warhorse at a Journey Pro show, which is a match I'm very very pleased with. Yeah, that's just a few, but pretty much any match I have with Jake Christ is pretty good one. Um,
And
there's a few, yeah.
I'll put a match with Gary J. And whatever else I could scrummage from YouTube. And I'll put it in the description of the video below or on YouTube and Castbox. For anybody that wants to re-see it, hasn't seen it in a while after this interview.
Awesome.
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Cool.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
I'm nervous but ready. All right, let's do it.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Shawn Michaels.
Worst wrestler.
The Miz.
Ooh, okay. You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Um, we're gonna go back with Shawn Michaels.
Okay. If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Walk by RVD's ECW theme.
Hmm. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is.
Dead.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Nice.
Squash. Fruit or vegetable?
Uh, fruit.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Tomato logic.
Yeah.
New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks the butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Um, I mean, I'd say you can get away with a little butt cheek, like maybe 10% butt cheek.
10% butt cheek, okay.
Maybe, yeah. That's pushing it.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No.
And that's the correct answer. That will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you, man. This was a good time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I appreciate that as well. And where can people find you on social media, merchandise, everything we need to know about you?
Yeah, man. Like I have a Facebook. It's just Aaron Williams. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Planet Williams One, the number one. If you get on Instagram and you do the Instagramming, I'm Planet Williams on there. I'm probably much better at that than I am at Twitter, but if you engage with me, then it will give me a reason to be better on Twitter. Um, I have a pro wrestling tee store that's got a couple of things on there. I also have a fully gimmicked store with some stuff on there. And if you go to shopwrestlenerds.com, there is some merchandise for me on there as well. All of that stuff is easy to access, and yeah, buy my stuff and wear my merch, and yeah, that, all of that.
And if you want to be trained by Aaron Williams, where can we find that information as well?
Oh, yes, thank you. You can go to on Facebook, go to Hawks Wrestling Academy. That's Hawks as in like the bird. Um, you can check that out, and you can message there and find out all the information you need to know. I do believe there's a Twitter as well that you can check out. And yeah, like that's pretty much it. I enjoy training people. I have a wealth of knowledge, and I am ready to give it out. So
All
that's
right.
pretty much it.
Well, I believe I still have the links to the school when I interviewed Cody Hawks, so I could put that in the description of the video as well. All of
Fantastic.
No need to go looking for it. No need to put it into your Google machine. Simply go into the description of the video below. All his links to all his social media, merchandise, school will be there. You've been listening to him for a little over an hour and a half. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt.
Like the way you think, man.
Hey, we're grinders here.
That's right. That's right. I mean, yeah. If you've committed to listening to this whole thing and you don't buy a shirt, then you're really missing out.
Yeah, what are you doing? Um, of course, on our side of things, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for another incredible interview. Of course, all of this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Follow the show at Wrestling with E on both Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, you can find out who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, etc., etc. You can follow me personally at JamesJ993. You can follow Scooter at Scooter Dust. And on the Nobody Out Crazy Ophelia YouTube channel, the only live alternative commentary for WWE PLEs, including myself and Ryan Dust, and on the Smoking Dragons Twitch stream featuring Nico Constantino Jr. Alright, Aaron, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay?
All right.
For our very special guest, Aaron Williams, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I am James J. This has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.